Greetings and welcome back to Rimworld. So after the last series ended, which was about a week ago, I have continued to work on the mod that I was building back then, and it has grown considerably. So before I go over everything, let's take a quick look to the tech tree. Let's see. Alright, so if you're familiar with the last tech tree, then well, it might look a bit like it, but it's been expanded quite a bit. So here we still have the list with all the stuff you start with. I tried to balance this out a bit because I wanted to have, well, at least enough to start with, but not too much either, so that you actually have some progression. And it still has all the pseudo-scientific naming. It kind of fits with Rimworld, I think. Anyway. There should be a link to this tech tree in the description, so you can check it out yourself. I kind of made the tech tree inside the game. Well, not really. It's you'll see. Anyway, here's the stuff that you start with, and there's quite a few new things. These will all be familiar. Doors, walls, bed, sleeping spot, a small table and stool. We got the equipment track. We got all 4 colored lights, which now also emit enough to grow some plants around them in a very small radius. That will be important because I added this thing. No, this thing. The plant basin. This is basically a, well, a very basic form of hydroponics. Hydroponics, yes. And it doesn't give any fertility bonus, but the good thing is that you can build it inside, or, well, build it wherever you want. So if you're starting inside some desert, you can use it. And together with these small lamps, you can start growing some stuff inside. Granted, you have to still heat the room, but, well, that's your problem to solve. We still got the sculptor's table, the butcher's table. New thing, preserving table. Oh, right. Before I get to that, I actually have to tell that I added quite a bit of resources to the game. And I actually changed a few. So, with the vanilla game, when you go mining, you mine steel, gold, silver and plasteel. I changed that up a bit, and now you will be mining iron, which is right here. You'll be mining silver, is still in there. This one is copper, so don't be confused. The green isn't plasteel, but it's copper. Which other ones we got? There should be gold somewhere around here. Oh yeah, here it is. Gold. And the last metal you can mine, although I haven't found it here, is titanium. This kind of replaces plasteel as the natural rare resource, but there's still plasteel in the game. You'll have to make it. And there's 2 other non-metal resources, which is salt and... where is it? Here we go. And coal. Now, coal you will need to make steel. This you do obviously with iron. And salt you will be using for some early technology things that will help you survive. For example, the preserving table. This will allow you to preserve food. It's a basic way also of preparing food. I kind of needed this because if you've seen the last series, you know that I wanted to push the power technology quite a bit further into the tech tree, but the problem with that was that you basically had to live on berries for the first few, I don't know, maybe the first month, because you couldn't prepare food. Now this is a basic way of preparing food and preserving food, because having refrigeration requires quite a bit of research. So this it's not very efficient. It's also not very healthy for your colonists. So you can eat pickled food, which is basically all the vegetable stuff, and salted meat, which is obviously meat stuff. But you get a slight mood penalty when eating these, and it's also not so very nutritious. So yeah, it's decent for surviving, but it's not something you're gonna want to keep. And also we got the wooden grill. Well, not exactly wooden grill, you can make it out of coal as well. So basically it's the grill, and you can make it to grill some food. And what else we got? The rest is all the basic stuff. We got the campfire, which can now be made out of wood or coal. We still got the plant pot, the research table, and graves. I think that was everything we start with. Oh, and here's some of the resources, some new textures. As you can see here. I do have to say, I'm not exactly a good coder, and neither am I a good artist, and I'm not exactly sure which of those is my worst skill. You'll have to figure that one out yourself. Anyway, as for the tech tree, these are the 4 technologies, or well, the results of the 4 technologies you start with, and we can actually see them here as well. So we got masonry, tailoring, smithing, and first aid. First aid is a very new one. Let's start off with masonry. It's a simple one. It unlocks the stonecutter's table, and you get to build concrete. And after that you can research paving, which will allow you to get paved tiles and stone tiles. Now, in order to... I changed a few things. So paved tile now is actually made with paved tiles. If you remember, in the vanilla game, paved tile is actually made with metal. It's actually just the same as metal tiles, except for the textures. So I wanted to change that, so I added something new. I think it's nice. Anyway, that's it for this small tech tree. The rest, however, are all interconnected. The big one is smithing, which will eventually, well, directly go into electromechanics, which will unlock a few things. It's also required for... what else? Oh yeah, smithing, gunsmithing. And yeah, I'll get to all this later. We also got tailoring, which will allow you to make carpets, and a tailor bench, which is still pretty much the same as the vanilla one. And later you can also make some luxury carpentry, which unlocks the royal bed and the long table. I decided to make the... well, it's the same as the last time, as in the last series, but the long table, I figured, well, why not make it something special, because in the vanilla game it's basically just well, yeah, 2 short tables next to each other. Now it's something different, it's a bit more fancy, but it also requires a few more resources, like a synth thread to build, same as the royal bed. So that's something we'll have to trade for. And we also have first aid, which is maybe the first new thing you will get to. Well, yeah, it's very simple. You make a first aid kit, which requires 5 cloth. So you won't be able to make them immediately. You'll have to grow some cotton, which is also going to be needed for the bed. So yeah, not everything here you will be able to build immediately, but you don't need research for it. So for the bed you'll need cloth. For this you'll obviously need some resources. I'm not entirely sure, but I can do it this way. So yeah, here you see a whole list of all the stuff. Yeah, a lot has been added. Well, quite a bit. Not that much, but I think it's decent. Anyway, let's continue on. So, okay, let's go to electromechanics. So this follows after smithing. And what you will get is a salt battery. So this is one of the things you could use the salt for. And this is a very makeshift way of getting energy. This allowed me to kind of push all the other energy, well, the generators, a little bit deeper into the tech tree. And, well, yeah, don't be confused by the name battery. It's not something which stores energy, it's just a energy generator. And what else we got? We got auto doors. We got the machining table, which I kind of repurposed for making electromagnets and power cells. We'll get to that later. And also the iron power conduit, Now, if you see here, power conduits, at least the basic ones, now take a bit of power. So that means you actually have to think about how many cables you lay and how you build your base, unless you want to have a lot of loss of power. I think that adds a little bit to the game. And after the iron power conduit, you'll be able to make copper power conduits, which require a little bit less. So that'll give you a little bit more freedom about where you lay all your power cables. So yeah, it's a nice little upgrade. And it also gives some extra meaning to the copper resource that I added to the game. Okay, what else we got? So after electromechanics, you can actually make the wind turbine. And that actually would seem like that is quite fast in the tech tree, but you require quite a bit of resources to build it. Well, let's see, it's right here. And you'll be able to choose what to build it from. So we got titanium, steel or plasteel. So let's just go with the steel one, which is pretty much the cheapest one you can build. So you need to make 160 steel, you'll need 40 titanium and 4 electromagnets. So that's quite a bit of resources to make the wind turbine, which may make you think twice about building it early on. Alright, where was I going? Okay, well, electromechanics also goes into thermal conduction. I kind of grouped these things up a bit. I didn't make an extra research for cooling, because I think, well, heating or cooling, it's about the same principles, so I didn't want to go too far with branching everything off. So you got all these things combined. Yeah, okay. And what else we got? Oh yeah, and after smithing you also, and tailoring, you require both. You can also make some armors, some basic ones. So you can craft an armor vest, a military helmet and the Kevlar helmet. So the Kevlar helmet is a bit better than the military helmet. And yeah, also something I might have to add is that for all these stuff categories, I added a few. That's kind of nice about the game. You can add as many stuff categories as you want, or at least I think so. There may be a limit, but I don't know what it is. And what I did was I split up the metals, well, the construction metals anyway, into 2 categories. We got low end and high end. Low end is copper, iron and steel, and high end is steel, titanium and plasteel. This allowed me to kind of split up the many of the buildings into the low tech and high tech ones, but still gives you a choice about what you build it from. So as you can see, the turbine, you were able to build it from plasteel, titanium and steel. So this is some sort of high tech building, even though it's quite low in the tech tree. So this kind of gives you a choice about whether or not you want to build it early on. You won't have steel early on, but there are ways to get steel. Now, first thing is you can make it in the arc furnace. You can still melt slag in the furnace. So yeah, I renamed it. It's no longer the electric slag furnace, I think it was. Now it's an arc furnace. And you can make steel from iron. Well, obviously iron and coal. And it'll require 5 coal and 40 iron. And I think you get the base amount is 40 steel, but that gets changed a bit by the crafting skill. I think you get about I don't know, 35 to 38 steel from every craft. So yeah, okay. Where was I going with this? Yeah, you will need to make steel, but the thing is, since you need this to make steel, you will also need steel to make this. So that gets kind of weird. Let's see, where is it? Here we go. So yeah, you also get to choose what to build it from. It's also a high-tech building. So you get to make it from steel, titanium and plasteel. But, well, See, even if you choose plasteel, you still need a bit of steel to make it. And a whole bunch of electromagnets. I'm not sure if 15 was right. I may have to lower that a bit. And you need some copper. So, okay, how do you get your first steel? Well, there's buildings around. I didn't build this myself. That was just some sort of ruin. So you can obviously assemble some, disassemble some steel walls. Also, there's these gaskets. If you disassemble these, you'll also get a bunch of steel and titanium and uranium, I think. And yeah, and you can also trade for it, obviously. So there's a few ways to get your first steel to build this. And well, yeah, that's kind of something you have to think about yeah, how to build it. And also, if you don't have enough steel, you can build it out of plasteel and titanium, but you still need a bit of steel. So that's also a choice you gotta make about whether or not you want to waste your high-tech resources on this or not. And as you can see, I also made it a bit bigger. Both of these, I wanted to make size be important. Or well, at least space be important. Anyway, what else we got? Wow, I've been actually going on for quite a while now. Time's going fast. So I'll have to be a bit fast as well. So here we still got the solar panel, which follows after... no wait, that's electro mechanics, which unlocks the copper power conduit. We also got electrochemistry, which unlocks the battery. Okay, what else we got? And we got prosthetics, which you will be able to build. And we still got communication. So okay, and oh yeah, and we got the geothermal generator, which is actually a low-tech building compared to the wind turbine. But it requires quite a bit of resources, as you can see. Even making this Iron Man requires steel, so you will need steel for this as well. So one of your first quests will probably be how to get your first good resource, power resource. And well, solar panels are the easiest to build, but they aren't exactly the most reliable. So those are choices. And then we get to somewhat of the halfway point of the tech tree, and that's occupied by the laboratory. Everything after this will require a laboratory, or well, not a laboratory, will just require the research in the laboratory. And this thing kind of replaces the research bench. You can still use the research bench if you want to, but because I increased mainly all of these research requirements, they require about, I think here, 1,500 points, and then we get to 2,000 and 3,000. So to get the high-tech stuff, you will need quite a bit of research. And in order to accommodate for this, I introduced a small research table named the laboratory. So this will allow you to build a few research benches for a few researchers without actually taking up a whole lot of space. And after that, it kind of splits up into two ways. We got material engineering and bioengineering. Bioengineering is what I used to have as biochemistry, which was all the way in the beginning of the research tree. But I wanted to move it up because it's actually somewhat of a high-tech thing, I think. A nutrient dispenser, it's not exactly something you would find in anything but sci-fi settings, so it's supposed to be something high-tech, and I moved it up the tech tree. And now it doesn't give you a bad mood bonus anymore to eat nutrient-based. Now it's a simple meal, so you get no bonus or penalty at all, but it still has the same efficiency as it used to have. So you kind of got a choice of going for the nutrient-based or still sticking with cooked meals. But the good thing about the cooking stove is that you can still make the fine and lavish meals. So I think they are somewhat equal now. Both have their pros and cons. After bioengineering, you can get hydroponics. the introduction of the plant basin kind of allowed me to move up hydroponics as well, because you don't require it to survive anymore. You only need it to progress or to thrive if you have a lot of colonists. We also got the fertility pump, and we got another new one, is the bionic stable. And this also requires you to research prosthetics. And this will allow you to build all the bionic stuff, the power claw and the scyther knife. And after that you can research the crypto sleep casket. And then we can go to material engineering. This new thing here, which I'm not exactly satisfied with how it looks, but yeah, as I said, I'm not a great artist. Well, this thing will require you... this thing is what will make your high-tech stuff. So you get to turn steel into plasteel. You get to turn devil strand into power filament. Power filament is what you will need to make power cells with. And you get to turn titanium into a superconductor. So after that, you will get the power armor table, which will obviously allow you to make some power armor and also allow you to make the power cells. I kind of added making power cells to all three of these, I think. No, it's not in this one, I think. Oh, no, it's not. But I think it's in these. No, it's not. Anyway, this allows you to make power armor, and this allows you to make these fancy guns that the mechanoids usually use. They will use quite a bit of resources to make though. And after this, you get a new turret. Well, if you research it anyway, the charge lance turret, which has quite a big range compared to the regular turret. But it will cost a lot of resources to build and also a lot of power. It takes 800 watts versus the 350 for the normal turret. So you'll have to think about where you place it, because it takes a lot of resources and a lot of power. Okay, what's next? Then we get research into superconductors, which follows after the material engineering, and this allows you to make superconduits, which will require zero power, similar to the vanilla power conduits. And we also got a fancy battery here, the power cell battery, which will require power cells, as you may have guessed, and it's a bit more efficient and better than the regular battery. And also it doesn't blow up when it's outside in the rain, so that's a nice thing, I think. And then we come to this monstrosity here, which is the fusion reactor. And I should have changed this to 8000 watts. Well, I'll be doing that shortly. And you will require the steam turbine here and superconductors to be able to research this. And it takes quite a bit of research, but you'll get quite a bit of power from it. And it also takes quite a lot of resources to build. As you can see here, 50 electromagnets, 30 superconductors, 100 titanium, and at least, well, yeah, 600 steel if you decide to make it out of steel, but can make it out of titanium and plasteel. So yeah, it's expensive, but it's gonna be your best resource of power, and that's a renewable resource. So yeah. Although we also have the advanced solar panel, and I had to do a bit of, I don't know, weird coding for this one, because to change the solar panel power output, you gotta actually go into the code, which is something I don't actually do. I just changed the XML files. So what I did to make it a bit more efficient is I made it smaller. And yeah, it's 3-on-3, while the normal generator is 4-on-4. So it's almost half as big. So that makes it quite a bit more efficient. And you'll be needing quite a bit of power resources, so I think that having a small solar panel will make it interesting for late game. Also, you may have noticed that these things take quite a bit of power. Both this, and this. So yeah, you will need power later on. And okay, and after this we get to the spaceship stuff, which you should all be familiar with. So starts off with spaceship design, which gets you the structural beam. Then we get the reactor, the engine, the ship crypto sleep casket, and the computer core. So anyway, that actually fits nicely into one episode, it seems. So that'll be everything that's in my new mod, which I will use for the new series. Hopefully you kind of get an idea where I wanted to go with it. And yeah, hopefully we'll see you at the first episode of the new series. So thank you for watching and see you next time.